Hello, I am Prashant Kothari, President of SkillBench and founder of Internal Audit Today show. I am excited to host episode 3 of Internal Audit Today, a talk show to benefit the internal audit fraternity and beyond. Every month, I talk with an internal audit or other business leader to learn their experience and perspective about the internal audit profession. Friends, today I am honored to talk to Richard Chambers, a name that is widely known in the accounting and internal audit profession. Richard is the president and the CEO of the Institute of Internal Auditors, the Global Professional Association, and the standard-setting body for the internal auditors. Before taking the help of the IIA in 2009, Richard held various leadership positions with different organizations. He currently serves as the board of directors for many organizations and is the author of many award-winning books. Accounting Today ranks Richard as one of the top 100 most influential people shaping the accounting profession, and he is recognized by the National Association of Corporate Directors as one of the most influential leaders in corporate governance. Richard, welcome.
Well, thank you, Prashant. Thank you for having me, and it's really a pleasure to join you today.
So, Richard, as we know, many industries have been impacted negatively by COVID-19, for example, airline, food, travel, and manufacturing. What is the ripple effect on the internal audit functions of those industries that have been hit by COVID-19?
Well, you can imagine that every industry is being hit by this crisis. And first of all, I would just say at the outset, I think we're in the first of the twin crises. I think there will also be a financial crisis that is already underway and it will extend beyond the immediate health threats. But the industries you outlined certainly are ones that are being severely impacted. We've been doing a lot of research surveys out of the IIA, and our surveys would indicate exactly what you're saying. The hospitality and travel industry are being significantly impacted, and the internal audit departments within those functions are being impacted. In fact, overall, when we look at the impact on internal audit, almost 40% of internal audit functions in the United States have already indicated that their budgets and or staffing have been reduced. So that's only 6 weeks in, and we're already seeing very significant and very widespread impact. So I guess that's how I would lead that question, is that there is significant impact. It is more pronounced in those industries that are more directly dependent upon consumers whose behaviors have been changed.
What are some of the things internal audit departments are doing differently to help their company with the overall business impact due to COVID-19?
Well, certainly we're seeing a lot of change around the way internal auditors are communicating. I mean, we're all doing exactly what you and I are doing here today. We're working remotely. We're working in many cases from our homes, and we are not able to have the kind of normal face-to-face interaction, sitting across someone's desk, being able to have conversations. So one of the things that we're seeing, of course, we've been suggesting this for some time, and a number of other people have been doing the same, is that, if you have a risk assessment that hasn't been updated in 3 months, you probably have a completely obsolete risk assessment. So the first thing that needs to happen is that internal audit needs to set aside its risk assessment and audit plan that it was planning to use to guide it through 2020. And you need to start having the conversations with your key stakeholders, with the senior management officials in your organization and with your board about what the true risks are to the organization. We have instincts. If we've been in our roles and we've done our jobs, we'll have instincts about what the risks are, but I think we have to start by having a refresh or undertaking a refresh of our risk assessment, and as a result, a completely updated audit plan.
How can internal audit work leaner and smarter during this lockdown and during COVID-19?
Leaner is being imposed upon us in some cases because companies that we work for are doing layoffs and staff reductions. They're doing expense reductions, so a lot of the ancillary or the discretionary spend that internal audit has, it's all been eliminated, or not all, but in many cases it's been substantially eliminated. So we have to be leaner, but even if we didn't have to be leaner, even if you haven't had any of your staff laid off, or if you haven't reduced your budget, you have to work smarter. I posted a LinkedIn and a tweet yesterday talking about that disruption drives innovation. I actually asked that disruption accelerates innovation. And so we are in a period of unprecedented disruption. Almost every facet of our lives, whether they're professional, whether they're personal, is completely disrupted at this moment. And so what I think we need to be doing as internal audit professionals when we're undertaking our own roles and responsibilities is we have to be as innovative as possible, make the most of the circumstances that we're faced with. You know, there's a lot of conversation about, well, how do you audit remotely? How do you, audit, when you're not able to be in the location where you would like to be? Well, I don't think this should be news to internal auditors. I think we should have always been auditing remotely, at least not been sitting behind our desks in our offices. I used to tell my audit staff that you leave your desk, I probably don't need you, because we need to be out there interacting with the clients, with the people whose areas of responsibility we're either providing advice or assurance to, and we can do that remotely. It just, like you and I are communicating remotely, that's the way we're going to have to interact. That's where we have to carry out our responsibilities as internal auditors. We also need to get a lot smarter about the use of data analytics and other technology tools, because we're not going to be able to sit across the desk from someone, thumb through documents, or review documents in their offices that maybe are on their systems. We're going to have to do that remotely, and that's all going to require us to become a whole lot more adept than perhaps some of us have been in the past.
How is the Institute of Internal Auditors helping the professionals with resources, guidance, and events during this pandemic?
At the IIA, we recognized from the very earliest days of this crisis that it was going to be an extraordinary time for our profession. We recognized that internal auditors needed fresh information, fresh perspectives, content. They needed an opportunity to interact and network. So we launched the COVID-19 resource page, or resource exchange, several weeks ago. And that's a landing page on the IIA.org site. You can go to the www.theiia.org, and right across the top of the page, you will see a link to the COVID-19 resource exchange. And there you will find an absolute multitude of sources to tap into. We have been out of our Audit Executive Center putting out content. We've been doing research. We've been doing flash polls, like I gave you some data a little earlier about those internal audit departments who are already experiencing resource reduction. That's all coming from being able to go out and tap into chief audit executives, particularly here in North America, and ask them, what are you dealing with? What issues are you faced with? So I think we've been very proactive in this, but I would also tell you that a lot more to do. I am personally getting more involved, going to be doing a series of videos similar to what you and I are doing, where I'm going to be having conversations with thought leaders and leaders in the internal audit profession to talk at a very high level about their perspectives. And we founded the IIA with the concept of knowledge through sharing. And we will continue to gain that kind of perspective by sharing with each other the experiences that we're going through.
How do you think internal audit functions should prepare for post-COVID-19 times?
I don't think we're going to be in a post-COVID time anytime soon, not until there is a vaccine and it's been widely administered. So I think what I would say is there is the immediate COVID health crisis, which we're hoping will start to abate in the next 2 or 3 months, at least to the extent that we've been experiencing it. And then, as I said in my earlier comment, that's when I think we're going to have to deal with the evil twin in this crisis, and that is the impact on the financial, on the impact on the economy. As a long tenured chief audit executive or long tenured person in this profession, I have the unfortunate distinction of having been through about 6 recessions all the way back to the late 1970s. And I would tell you that recessions can be particularly cruel to our profession because we still have too many organizations that somehow believe internal audit can be used as a bill payer or to a certain extent has some expendability during the dispensability during an economic downturn. And we didn't see that so much the last time in the 2008 recession and the aftermath. We didn't see as much reduction, but I think we will have to cope in a recessionary environment with reduced resources, and we're going to need to step up and add value even more. The big challenge, is how do you add more value with less resources? And that's a challenge that I think we're up for. One way that I think internal audit adds value during that kind of an environment is by sharpening their pencils and going to help management identify cost savings and expense reductions, because pressure is going to abound on the bottom lines of organizations, and they're going to be looking for all the insight and all the help that they can get, and internal audit is well positioned to help with that.
With personal and professional life now intermingled with most professionals working from home, how do you maintain that balance between your professional and personal life to be most effective with both?
Well, I think what has to happen is if you're working from home, so you live, you sleep, you work, you play, all in the confines of your home, you need some structure. I had a little bit of a challenge myself because I've never really worked remotely for any length of time. On the onset of this work from home, almost 6 weeks ago now for us at the IIA Global Headquarters, I found myself a bit out of place. I didn't quite have a routine. I didn't have an office, formal office set up. We're living in a new house for only a short period of time. I've had to gradually get to that point now where I have a routine. I get up, I start my workday much as I would in the office. I'm on and off of meetings and calls throughout the day. I take time during the day to step back, have some lunch, come back in the afternoon, resume the routine. Of course, when you're the CEO of a company, you really don't have a lot of personal downtime on your own, particularly during the kind of crisis that we're going through. So my staff would tell you that I don't practice what I preach, that I'm probably sending emails and corresponding at all hours of the day and night. But I really do believe that we are the most effective if we can maintain some structure and put the right priorities in place.
Richard, any personal philosophy that you would like to share that helps you through the challenges of life these days? How do you maintain your inner strength, glass half full attitude, etc.? I know in the previous question you responded having some structure would help.
Yeah.
However, any values or any other philosophy that would not only help you, but it will be a motivation for others?
I believe that the experience we're going through collectively is going to make us all stronger. I was commenting to someone earlier today in a conversation that, we have become so comfortable with a routine in our lives that it takes something like this to completely disrupt that routine, to fully enable us to appreciate the things that were good, and maybe also to appreciate the things that were not so good in the way we were living our lives, both personally and professionally. So I think, I philosophically, I think I use an expression that my grandmother used a lot, and that is that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it's not obvious what that reason is at the moment. Sometimes it takes a while to fully appreciate it. But for me, I'm seeing that there's a real purpose in what's happening. None of us would want it to happen. None of us wanted to see this kind of deadly pandemic hitting us. But I also believe that we will be stronger, more resilient, more effective. I think as internal auditors, we're going to have a much better appreciation for, as I talked about in my last book, what life is like at the speed of risk, and how important it is to audit at the speed of risk. There's never been risk that has materialized with more velocity and more ferocity than this COVID-19 pandemic. Well, there may have been in the annals of human history, but not in our lifetimes would we be sitting here totally consumed by a crisis that was not even on the radar 5 months ago. And that is, Prashant, that is what I meant in the conversation around the speed of risk. We're now experiencing life and death at the speed of risk.
Very well said about the perspective of gratitude, and everything happens for a reason, and adapting to it and changing it and auditing at the speed of risk. So very well said around that. Is there any special message you would like to share with the viewers of this video?
I guess I would say that I assume most of the viewers are going to be people who are either in internal audit or have interest in internal auditing. And I would just encourage them to embrace this experience and grow stronger, grow more effective in the profession that you have embraced. We, I think, are tailor-made to help organizations in times like these. There was a time where internal auditors were known as the bean counters. We were the ones who helped audit financial records, financial books. I have made the comment that in the last couple of decades, we've gone from counting the beans to needing to know how they're harvested, how they're grown, and how they're taken to market. And now we're getting to experience how we can help when the bean harvest itself is being threatened. We're in a place to help management, to help boards, to help our organizations, to help our fellow colleagues and employees in the organizations by being a light, shining a beacon, shining a light on where the risks are, where the opportunities are. And I think we're in a great place right now to help our organizations.
Richard, I want to thank you for sharing your words of wisdom today. I learned a lot from this conversation. There are so many takeaways I have from this conversation. My biggest takeaway is around what you mentioned about, relooking and refreshing the risk profile, the risk assessment, and the audit plan that the internal auditors need to do for 2020 and beyond. I know this conversation will benefit internal audit fraternity, but also will help others to navigate through these times.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the good words. I wish you all the best as you undertake this project and your podcast. I think you're playing an important role. You're providing a great service to our profession.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you.
Friends, if there is a topic or guest you would like to see on Internal Audit Show, please email me at pk@globalskillbench.com. Thank you for watching.